Now we can do our second hands-on, now we will create that application that you already saw in one of the previous videos that outputs the words hello world several times on the screen. And this time now we will create a real web application, so we'll no longer use the Windows desktop application, but this time we will create a web application project, and that can create us web forms that further constructs the HTML that can be shown in a browser. At first we need to add in to this project this workspace, this solution. We need to add a project that is of correct type. We can add that project here in the same solution that we already have, or you can create a new solution that has only the web application projects. It's up to you what you want to do. But just I want to demonstrate it is no problem if I add in to this very same solution another project that is of different type. So I go to File and I tell Add New Project. And now as we are going to create a classic ASP app, so we're supposed to look at not this desktop application templates, but the web templates. Just make sure that you are under the Visual C# tag, so that you are not creating an application on any other language. Visual C# web, and then we will search for ASP.NET Web Application, .NET Framework. This is the type of applications that we now want to do. And then we can name this project as Hello World 10. And I always manage to write something wrong. Okay, Hello World 10. And then I just click OK. So now I just have to also select for the correct template that how my project is initiated, and I want to initiate it with an empty project so that there is no templates, no contents whatsoever when I open it. So empty is the selection that you should take, and then click OK. So now it creates the project, and I can see it appear here in the Solution Explorer. If you start fresh from an empty solution, then this is the only one that you can see. And before I go any further, I just simply click here with my right mouse button and set this project as the startup project. So now everything I do will be targeted on this web application. Okay, and first I will what I do first, I will add here a new web page. So that will be a page that I can call from the browser, and then it shows me some HTML. So I right click now on this Hello World 10 project, right click here, and then I search for Add, and then I search for Web Form. So add new web form. You can also find this if you go to the new item, and then you can have the same selection, but the web form is already also here. So I click here, and then I can give name to the web form, and this name is now the name of the page that you would call from the browser URL. So it's the address of the page. So I call this Hello World and 10. Okay, this goes along with the project name, and then I click OK. So what I see is now my project has one extra file here called hello world 10.aspx, and that same file I can see here in my editor view. So this edit view, it now shows the contents of that ASPX file, and that ASPX file now is the file into which I'm supposed to write that source code. And okay, so far I have some contents here, even though I selected empty project, but this is now an empty page that only has one element of research for possible form controls, and then some compulsory HTML tags like okay, the head and the body part. So these parts should always be here anyway. And then I have some header part here. So this is a part where you should never touch. So don't do any modifications to this. And also if you copy paste your code from another project, you should never copy paste this part, because these names probably do not match with those components that have been created when you create this project. So don't take those along when you copy paste code. Alright, but now what we want to do, we want to create here a part that will generate 10 lines of HTML that does nothing else but just says hello world and n times, or 10 times in this case. And I can write C# code in between any HTML simply with adding a tag where I have the smaller than symbol and then a percentage sign. So between these two tags, anything I write here is interpreted as a pure C#. Why C#? Okay, because that has been set as the language. You could also set some other language, but that's a different story. Alright, and then we want to create here a loop that creates 10 different rows with HTML having the text hello world. And how do I output on the HTML document? It's with the response object. Okay, we already learned that before. Response is in web application is the same as console is in console application. So if I write to the response, then it's the same as if I'm writing to the browser, what the browser sees that document. So I say response, write, and what do I write there? I write there some text. Okay, now I have some mistake. Text, hello world. And not only that, I also want to add here some variable values. I don't have the variable yet, but I will soon, because I will now add it here. I will create here a loop where I say a variable called I, which is int type. It will go from 0 and it will go until 10. And on every round it will increase itself by 1. Alright, so this is a for loop. Not all of you have yet learned about this, but that's how it is. And now you also know what is a for loop. And now I can use this variable I here because it always has some value. In the first round it has value 0, and then it has value 1 and so on. Okay, and I use that value here. So since I go from 0 up to 9, so I want to write here the value I plus 1. So on the first round I'm outputting here the value 1. Second round I output here value 2. And then I add here some more text. I write here times, and then okay, I have this old-fashioned way of changing or writing a new row using the br tag here. And that's it, that's all. And now I can experiment my application. Let's see if it works. So I go here. Now I can launch my application which in several ways. I can either go here on this button, and on this button I can also select which browser I want to use. So on my computer I have different browsers. I have Firefox, Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, Microsoft Edge. If I had more browsers, I had all these selections here. So I can select here which browser I'm going to use now for running my code. And then, but I can also run my code with the button F5. That's also doing it, and I can also do it from the debug. So here is the same thing. Start debugging. It will also run my software, but anyway, I will use this button now. So I click here. So it opens the browser automatically, and the backside, the Visual Studio is also starting up the local server, which performs as a server for my trial. And this is what it outputs. Okay, I can see everything now on the browser. So I have exactly that's output that I wish that my application would do. So I have this hello world and output it 10 times and each time on different row. And again, if I go and have a look at the source code behind, this is it. So it's here. I have the text hello world here, and then always the BR tag that changes the row and so on. So this is how I can generate some output that follows the HTML rules, and if it does so, if there is no mistakes, then my browser is able to show it in the same way as if it were written statically with Notepad or similar device. So that's the basic idea of generating HTML with a script in your server side.